What's up, graphic designers? Are you ready to learn? In tonight's episode, I'm going to be showing you how to design some very cool, very simple event name tags. Welcome back, everybody, to episode number 21 of the Graphic Design Layout Bootcamp. My name is Steve Looney, and basically what I do is I take logos from my previous series, Logo Design Bootcamp, which are fictitious, and I implement them onto some type of a graphic design layout. Can be really complex, can be really simple, but it doesn't matter because I walk you through how to set up files, how to build the layout, and how to save it correctly for whatever means. So it's all working from my own experience. So that's how you learn when you're in the real world. This is the stuff you're not going to learn in a classroom. In today's episode, we're going to jump back to Logo Design Bootcamp, episode number 21, where I designed a logo called Urban Universe. Now, what I do in most of these videos is I revamp the logo, simplify it, because that series was a little bit more over the top with the way the logos were. So these are more professional, more simplified, and then I put them on a design layout. So in today's episode, we're going to be talking about event tags, which is when you go to an event, you have one of those tags that hang over your neck and you have your name on it. And we're going to make a couple different tags that are very simple, but I also go through a lot of the steps that you're going to be involved with if you get this project from a client. The coolest thing about the series is that if you click this button right here, you'll be able to download the file without the images or the purchase vectors that I have in here to go side by side with my tutorials. So it really helps you out a lot as opposed to starting from total scratch. So without further ado, let me critique this real quick and then we're going to jump right in. On the screen right now, you're going to see 6 different event tags that are all pretty much very similar. Except for the color. That's what really is going to group it into what type of person this is that is wearing it. Now, I don't have much experience with event tags, so I don't know if they sometimes variably print your name out in advance, or maybe you would go there and obviously they would write it down with like a permanent marker on top. But for now, I just kind of put my name on there just as a placeholder. But basically what we're going to do is we're going to create one of these, and I'm going to show you how to finalize one and then copy it through using artboards and to change those. So it's going over a lot of the basics and simple stuff, but repetitiveness is how you learn everything, obviously. So you're going to learn about transparencies. Obviously, you can see on here how to correctly save your image in Photoshop before pulling it into Illustrator. There's a background texture in here we're going to be using, and how to add bleeds and finalize the piece. So without further ado, let's jump into Adobe Photoshop. Now we're in Adobe Photoshop CC 2014. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to come up to File, Open, and I'm going to open a stock photo that I purchased from bigstockphoto.com. Now, you can really go in any search engine and type in free textures, free grunge wallpapers, stuff like that to use for this, but I decided to purchase one because I have an account already. And I'm not providing this in the actual files because I did purchase it, but it's very easy, like I said, to find something that you can use on the net. So the very first thing we're going to do is we're going to come into our background and we're going to double click and we're going to hit OK in case we need to edit this. And just thinking about this now, we really don't, but that's going to be okay. What you want to do is you want to come up to image size. And this looks a little bit different in CC 2014 as opposed to CS6. And every other version, it pretty much just changed the whole way this looks. But it's basically telling us that your image size is roughly about 20-something megs. The dimensions in pixels, we can change them to inches or what have you. We'll do inches for now. And it's saying right down here, the width and the height. Basically, our width and height at 300 resolution, it looks great at 8 by 11, but we don't need it to be that big because it's a small event tag. So what we're going to do is we're going to make the size smaller, so in turn it makes our image size smaller in the end. What we're going to do is we're going to come to the width, and we know our event tag is 3 inches in width by 4 inches height. We're going to hit 3 on the width, and it makes the height way too small. So what we're going to do is coming to the height, and let's do 5 for the height, and we'll make 6 for the width, because remember, we need to add bleed on this. And what's cool about this grunge texture is, seriously, you can just rotate it, and it's not like anything's going to be upside down because it's just a texture. So it's not like an image, of a building. You would know if it's upside down then. So now we're going to hit OK, and boom, makes it a little bit smaller. We're going to go to File, I'm going to say this as a PSD. I'm going to say grunge. I'm going to say that to my desktop. Hit OK. Now we're in Adobe Illustrator CC 2014, and as you can see, I do have 6 different artboards on my canvas. Now, before you do any graphic design project ever, you definitely want to find out the template that you have to use to build your design in, because if you're using somebody who does these event tags, they might do them a specific way. Their hold punch in the top might be a specific size, and they may need specific dimensions. You might not be able to do a custom size, but more than, I would say 9 times out of 10, these sites that you do them on, they will have a template for you ready to use. And when I say template, I really just mean the size, not the actual artwork and all that. Maybe they provide that too. But that being said, what we're going to do is we're going to come up to File, and we're going to go to New. Okay? And we're just going to name this, I'm going to name this Test Tutorial. And I'm going to just right now have one artboard. Okay, because what's the sense of making all of them right now and then not being able to show you how to make them the other way? But you could do, multiples right here. So we're going to do one artboard. The size that we're going to do is, well, first I'm going to change this from pixels to inches. When I'm working with web and video and stuff like that, I always leave it on pixels just because I know. But with the inches, obviously, with print, obviously inches is what we all know. So the width of this is going to be 3 inches and the height is going to be 4. Now, the orientation is portrait, and what I want to do is we're going to have to add bleed on this in the end. So I'm going to just click this arrow up right here, and you're going to see it adds 0.125 or 1/8 of an inch to all 4 sides, which is very important because when you send this to a printer, if they come back to you and say, oh, you do not have bleeds on the file, you're going to lose time. A lot of these online printers or even local printers, you got to get stuff to them a specific time of the day for them to start putting that into production right away. So under Advanced, we're going to keep it CMYK color high, 30 pixels per inch, and now we're going to hit OK. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to paste all my elements on here, and you will be able to get these from the file if you are not working next to them already. And what I'm now going to do is I'm going to pull in that background grunge. I'm going to show you by separating this. This is what I'm going to pull into here. All right, so we're going to go to File, Place, and we're going to find that grunge.psd. I'm just going to click, and it's going to add it to the canvas. All right, so the red outline is the bleed area. What I want to do is I want to go to View. I want to go to Hide Guides. All right, because I don't want them right now. It's kind of distracting for me, at least. I know from a keyboard command shortcut, command semicolon, you can turn them on and off. So know that keyboard command shortcut, save you some time. So what I want to do here is I want to come up to the rectangle tool. I got to make a clipping mask of this element in the background. And later on, we're going to open up that clipping mask to the bleed area. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the rectangle and we're going to click on the canvas, literally just click. Okay, and we're going to do the width as 3 and the height as 4 inches. Now, if you don't have these in inches right now, you're seeing something else. You need to go to Preferences in Illustrator and change the units, the incremental units. So now we're going to hit OK. I'm going to move that right over my artboard size. I'm going to take my image, and the fact the image is in the background, that'll allow you to do the clipping mask, because the clipping mask has to be on top. The shape has to be on top of what it's clipping out. So what you're now going to do is, say you don't have anything clicked. You're going to click the background image, you're going to hold Shift, and now you're going to click this image. You can either right click and go to Make Clipping Mask, or go to Object, Clipping Mask, Make, or Command 7. All right, I always forget that Command 7. I know every keyboard command shortcut but that. Well, now I won't forget for next time. All right, so what I'm now going to do is I'm going to hit A on my keyboard if I'm not happy with where it clipped out the image, and I can either move it around, I can hit E on the keyboard to transform it, and I can scale it down. All right. Or I can rotate it, because I kind of want to get those, this is different than from what I did, those dark areas on the top and the bottom. And you know what, because it's a grunge texture, you're allowed to squeeze it. It's going to look fine. I am not a fan of warping images or text, but it actually will work on this type of background. Now, you want to allow for extra, even though you can't see it yet, because when you open up that clipping mask later for the bleed, you want there to be some background in there to bleed. All right, So now we're going to click off of that. What we're now going to do is we're going to come into our layers palette, and I always say I don't use layers that much because I'm very good at unlocking and locking elements, and I feel like layers can slow you down a little bit, and I just want to make sure I make my time efficient. So if I come up with a good idea, I can copy it over. Oh, here's my good idea. I can copy it here, 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 and start working on version 2, 3, and 4. So if you have to keep unlocking elements, and I feel like it slows me down a little bit, but everybody's different. So I am going to show you the way to do this with the layers. We're going to call this layer 1 by double clicking that. We're going to call it background layer. Background grunge, how about that? Cool. All right. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to hit create new layer down here, and we're going to make another layer, and that's going to be our content. We're going to hit OK. And the last one is we're going to create one more layer, and that's going to be the drill hole. All right, and depending on your template that you have, will determine where that drill hole and what the size is. But right now, I'm literally just going to come up to the ellipse tool, click down, hold Shift, and hit spacebar to now move it, literally, like move the positioning of it. I'll put it right in the middle. Okay, I'm just going to fill it with white. To make sure that's in the middle, now this doesn't really matter for this design, but it's going to teach you something else. We're going to look at the X value right here, okay? We want to make sure your reference point is in the center. So it's referencing the center of the object right here. And the X is the horizontal. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that if it's 3 inches in width, that this says 1.5. You're going to see as soon as I hit enter, it's going to shift over just a little bit, and it's saying it's 1.5 inches from the left and the right in the center. So that's pretty cool. It's maybe something you didn't know, but it's just, that's like the refining stuff at the end that you like to do. But what you want to do here is you want to come up here and you want to lock this layer right here. I click on the little lock, come onto the background layer and click that. And now we click on our content layer, and we're about to put content on it. Now what we're going to do is we are going to come up to our rectangle tool, and again click down so you get a 3x4, hit OK, and this rectangle is filled with black. We're going to fill it with 100% of everything, so it's a nice deep black. And we're going to come into our opacity, and we're going to come down to 40%. Cool. All right, so you will notice it's a little bit different than this one, the old one, because of the way that I put the shape in there. Remember, I rotated it earlier and scaled it down. This one's a lot more zoomed in. So what you now want to do is you now want to, let's see, what do we do next? We are going to, let's make a rectangle right here. Okay. And we are going to not fill the rectangle, but we're going to make a stroke of white on it. And we're going to make that stroke, let's say, actually 2 points. I might go much further down. We're now going to come into our brushes, and we're going to click on this brush right here, the charcoal feather. It's a standard, so it's pretty much always right under the basic one. And what I'm now going to do is I'm now going to take this stroke, and I'm going to make it a shape, okay? It's not an actual shape, it's just a line segment right now. So we're going to now come into Object, Path, Outline Stroke. So if I zoom in, you're going to see it was a stroke, and now I go forward, it's a shape. All right, pretty cool, right? Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come into my rectangle tool again, and I'm going to make a rectangle. All right, and this is the area that your name is going to go on, or the name is going to go on. Okay, so now we have this shape and we have this shape right here. We're now going to select this shape. We're going to hold Shift. We're going to select this shape, and we're going to come into our Pathfinder tool, and we're going to make that shape one shape by hitting the Unite button in the top left in the shape modes. So although the brush stroke made these all separate over here, if I hit Command A, you see how it's not connected? It did technically connect everything right over here, which is what we want. Because now what we're going to do is we're going to take this, and we're going to come again into transparency, and we're going to change this to, let's say, 50% for right now. All right. Now we can hit a V on our keyboard to get our regular selection arrow. Let's scale this a little bit. Now, what I didn't totally take into account, which now I'm going to correct myself a little, is that margin. I didn't leave too much margin between this and the edge, so this printer is going to have to, do a pretty good job making sure they don't cut into my artwork. So what I might want to do is pull it in just a little bit. So yeah, just a little bit more. I mean, if this is ridiculous, that's not enough right there. You're looking where I'm pointing my mouse right now. So what you now want to do is you want to, let's see, what are we going to do next? We're going to this vector right here. All right, I'm just going to show you. I'm going to, this is a vector that I purchased, pretty cool, a bunch of them. I literally just, I had a box and there's my vector, and I did a clipping mask like everything else. Well, not like everything else, like we've done twice already. That's what I meant to say. And on here, I literally just laid it right over here. And let's see, did I do any type of a... All right, before I made the clipping mask, I changed it to 39% opacity, and then I made a clipping mask. So you can do that way, or you can make the clipping mask and then change the opacity. But that's how I decided to do it in this case. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to move that down a little bit, so it pretty much lays right on top of there. Once you start to go over, you're actually going to see it go through. You don't want that. Right, that's what I want right there. Okay, and you know what I'm now going to do is I'm going to unlock the background. I'm going to click on this. Where are you? Okay, I'm going to lock my content. This is why I don't like using layers. So I'm going to now take all of this right here. I'm going to hit Command 2 or Object Lock Selection. And now, what the heck is going on? Oh, it's on my red layer. I'm going crazy here. Sorry, guys. All right, so we're going to, all right, here's our element, and it's on our content layer. We just unlock content, and we unlock background. We're going to take this little square right here. We're going to click, and we're going to drag to the bottom layer. You can see it turns blue around here. And now it's a part of the bottom background layer. We're now going to click that lock again, so we cannot accidentally mess with that background. We could also do that with this too, so unlock and do it again. So you know what? Practice makes perfect. And when I was doing this tutorial, I didn't think I was going to do layers until I started doing it. I said, you know what? Why not throw another little thing in this tutorial to learn? So as you can see, when I put that other piece on the background layer, the transparency's got a little bit screwy. So I'm going to back up, and I'm actually just going to leave that on the content layer for right now. Basically what happened was when I pulled it to the background layer, it reordered it. So if it went behind the black, as I just did that manually, that's what it did. So I know I talk a lot in these videos, but you're going to learn more stuff than, you're going to on any other tutorial or any other teacher's going to teach you. I guarantee that. But let's see. We're going to lock the background layer now. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to come in here and we're going to take the logo, and I'm going to go to Option, and I'm going to click, and I'm going to shift it over, and I'm going to scale it down just a little bit by, I'm holding Option and Shift, all right, while I'm clicking that right there. All right. I'm now going to go to Object, Arrange, Bring to Front. Make sure it's in front of everything. You can see the green changes a little bit. But where'd my black go? My black literally disappeared. So what I'm going to do is hit my V on my keyboard so I get the regular arrow back. I'm going to select anything that is selectable because I don't want to interfere with anything. And I'm going to hit Command 2 to lock that element. All right? See, I can't click it anymore. I'm now going to hit A on my keyboard. I'm going to click this part of the logo and this. And the reason I hit A was because it was already grouped. And you need to hit A because if I don't, I click it with the other arrow, it selects everything. So hit A, click, hold Shift, and then click that one. I'm going to fill this with white. Coming into my fill, you can either drag it or click. All right. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to actually take all these and I'm going to hit Command 2 on those. I'm going to lock them. And then with the direct selection, I'm going to fill this with white. Do Urban Universe. Pretty cool, right? All right. So lastly, I'm going to literally just come up here and make a text box and hit Staff. Hit Escape after you do every text box all the time. Fill it with white. And what did I do? here. It did. All right, cool. Scale that up just a little bit. And I wanted staff to be, all right, that's got a transparency on it. So we're going to go down to 60% on that. All right, make it a little bit softer. Cool, right? All right, now the last thing on this literally is you can take this and go to Option, click, shift it down, and then we're going to type out your name, hit escape at the end, and scale it up. Now, if you were to be doing multiple ones with different names, you'd want to make sure that you come up in the paragraph, make sure this is all aligned through the center, all right? So later on, if you type out John B, it all is centered as opposed to a longer name like Steven, or, you know what I'm trying to say. All right, so we're going to do Steven L, and we're going to hit escape. That font's not that bad. The reason I use this font is more because it was like a handwritten font. So I'm going to just Option, click, shift that over and copy it. Cool. All right, so I'm going to delete this. I am going to hold on to this just in case, and I'm going to delete this. Now that we have the first one complete, we are going to add the bleed on this one, because when we do the other 5, you don't want to have to add the bleed 5 more times. You want to just set it once and you're good to go. So what we're now going to do is, again, we're going to hit Command semicolon or View Guides, Show Guides. All right, so we need to pull our artwork to get out to these areas, but you don't want it to move around and warp. All right, so what you want to do here is you want to, before we do the background layer, we're going to click, all right, let's see. We're going to go to Object, Unlock All, all right? So I think that was, yeah, Shift Command 2. We're now going to take this black box right here, and you're going to pull it to the edge of this red area, okay? I believe that's the only thing on that layer that I need to do that with. So we're going to hit Command 2 to lock it, or you can lock the layer and the content layer. And now we have to unlock the background layer. Now, you're going to notice that if I take this box and I scale it up, everything in the background moves. I don't want that because that's the scale that I want everything. So what you want to do is you want to hit A on your keyboard. You want to click. You see how as I go over the line segment, a little black box comes up? That's what you want. You want to click on that line segment and literally drag it to the end. Now hold Shift while you do it, because if you don't, this is going to happen. All right, so you can hold Shift until you get to the end of that. So you do 1. You notice how the image is not moving in that clipping mask. All right, I'm opening up what was hidden. All right, that's the best way I can explain it. Opening up what was hidden. All right, so this does not have to bleed because it doesn't bleed. It actually has that little margin around it. So those are the only things that need to bleed in this case. And now that we have the bleed, now we're going to do the multi artboard. So what we're going to do is we're going to come into our artboards, and very, very simply, we are going to make 1. All right. All right, let's see what we did here. Let's back up a second. All right, let's make sure everything is unlocked. Object, unlock all. We're going to come back into our artboards. We're going to click down, and we're going to drag it to the new layer area, and it creates a new artboard right there. Beautiful. We're going to do that one more time. All right. And we're not going to do the other 3 just yet. I'll show you why in a minute. All right, so now we're going to come up into Document Setup, and we're going to hit Edit Artboards. And I'm just going to move these over just a little bit so they're not, suffocating one another. Move that there. Move that there. You can even nudge it with the keyboard, which is pretty cool. And you want to now click your arrow to click off of that. Now let's see what I did in my other ones. I know I did a green and I did a white. Crew and guest. All right, so number 1, we're just going to change this to crew. Number 2, we're going to change this to guest. And what I should have done was I should have centered these in case guest or any of these words were a lot longer, because, this is 5 letters, 4 letters, 5 letters. So if it was like a really long word, it would have looked kind of funny, because as you type, it goes over to the right instead of expanding through the middle. What you want to do is you want to now lock the background again. Why not? Lock the background so we don't screw up this black box right here. That black box right now, literally, I'm going to hit my eyedropper and I'm going to click the green right here. Okay? And let's see what I did on the last one. I believe I came in here. I did a multiply on it. All right. And let's see, what do we do? We kept that all white, and that's black, black. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to come here, hit A on our keyboard, direct selection, hold shift, click that element, and we're going to fill it with white. So we have the logo on top of everything. Now we're going to take that. Let's see if it does anything. Range, bring to front. No. All right. I don't want my text to be opaque, so I'm going to come up and change that to 100% so you can actually read it on top of it. Universe has to be in white. You will not be able to view it if it is not. All right. Same thing over here actually with urban. I'm going to change that to 100% just so you can read the word urban. And lastly, over here is we're going to take that black. We're going to pull everything to 0. Oh, actually, a lot of these colors work pretty good. Actually, any color will work really good. I was even going to do red at one point. I honestly don't know what happened to that idea. All right, so let's see. And the reason I'm looking about my old one is because this tutorial took a little bit to do, so I want to make sure I'm doing pretty much all the correct settings. And we're going to come up into, what we'll do, we're going to pull that opacity up around 80. Okay, cool. Cool. All right, so about 80% black at 80% opacity. All right, roughly. I'm now going to take 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to fill it with black. And the reason that these are already like this is because they already have an opacity on them. Now, I'm going to lighten this black so you can see that logo pop off just a little bit more. I believe I did. Yep. Okay. I'm going to do black here with no opacity. I'm going to do black here on universe. All right, so how are we looking? Let's see if I change that to red like I was saying before. That's not bad either. Oh, cool. All right, so now that we got 1, 2, and 3, and we know these are our options, and now your client says, oh, you know, can you show me the same three different designs? And this is what we're going to do now. We're now again going to make sure that everything is unlocked. When we come to object, we're going to unlock the background, and we're going to come into artboards again, and we're going to, let's see, can we do all 3 of these? We're going to hold shift, select all 3. We're going to drag them in here. Yep, we can do 3 at a time. Wasn't certain, but now I am. All right, so we're going to come up to document setup. We're going to hit edit artboards, and to make it even easier for us, we're going to put number 1 on underneath itself, the green one underneath itself, and the gray one. Cool. All right, so let's just, as a reference, see what I did differently in these. All right, very simply. Doon, doon, doon. All right. You know, I am going to just take this in there for reference, visual reference. We can really do anything in here. We are going to, what I'm going to do is, instead of going into the layers right now, I'm going to grab all this stuff right here. You see how I'm selecting red and blue elements? I'm going to go to Object, Lock Selection. All right, so I cannot mess with anything. I'm now going to do the same thing with the drill holes. Command 2, Lock. And I'm going to take Staff, Crew, and Guest. I'm going to move them up to the top left. All right, I can even make them a little larger. All right. And I'm just going to reposition them just a little bit. They're too big, so I'm going to make them a little bit smaller. All right. And now I'm going to take my logo, and you're going to see my logo is, all right, so that is not grouped, that is not grouped, and that is not grouped. All right, that is a beautiful thing. We are going to take the logo, and we are going to take the symbol, and we're going to rotate it just a little bit. That's a little bit too much. And we're going to scale it up. Okay. And we're now going to lock it, Command 2. I'm now going to take the other elements in this logo. I'm literally going to come up here, and I'm going to scale them down. Now you can play around and see what works good. I think because the thinner font is harder to see, you want to keep that in white to knock it out. And I'm going to go to my eyedropper tool, or eye on the keyboard, and sample that green so you can see that right there. All right, now pull that in just a little bit. Cool. All right, so what you technically we could do is we could either what you should do is we should delete these. All right, delete this and go take these 3 elements. I have to actually go to Object, Unlock All, and what I'm going to do is, now check this out. This is cool. I just hit Unlock All, but don't do anything yet. Hold Shift, click the logo, so you're don't have that selected anymore, and everything else is still selected. Go back and lock everything. All right, so now the logo is not locked this time. You're going to go to Option, click, hold Shift while you do this, and then shift it over, literally. And we're going to just make sure that's arranged bring to the front. Again, one more time. Okay, lastly, I'm going to fill these with white. All right, I'm going to select the whole word Urban Universe. I believe that's all in white up here. It should be in white. That's the only way you're going to see it on the green. I'm now going to take these 4 elements. Yes, you know what? 5, 6 elements. I'm going to turn everything black here. Make Urban Universe just a little bit larger. Okay, cool. So now I'm just going to delete this, delete any other elements just lying around. And now we are ready to save this piece. Okay, so now what we're going to do is, again, we're going to make sure everything is unlocked, or our layers are unlocked. We're going to hit Command A or select all, or we're just going to hover over everything. We're now going to go to Type, Create Outline, Shift Command O. So now we have outlined everything. We're now going to go to Command or Option, Command S, or File, Save As. And we're going to first save this as, it still says test tutorial. I'm going to make it a PDF, and I'm going to make sure I select all, that meaning all of my artboards, all right? So I can either pick arrange or I can click all. So we're now going to hit save, all right? What I'm going to do here, just for the purpose of this tutorial, is I'm going to come up to high quality print. I'm going to uncheck preserve Illustrator editing capabilities just to get a smaller file size. All right, I don't recommend doing that because you might lose your original files. You might have to get back this file through an email, and the file becomes a pain in the butt to work with as a PDF when you uncheck that option. We're now going to come into marks and bleeds, and we're going to click trim marks, and we're going to click this up right here so it's 1/8 of an inch all around like we said originally, and we're going to hit save PDF. And it's telling me saving this with preserve Illustrator editing capabilities unchecked may disable some editing features when the document is read back in. You want to continue? Yes. Okay, so now we're going to come to the desktop. We're going to open up test tutorial. And there is number 1 with crop marks and bleed. Number 2, crop marks and bleed. 3, 4, 5, which shifted over a little bit, the logo, and the same thing in number 6. And boom, man, that is a beautiful thing. All right, so thanks for checking out another episode of the Graphic Design Layout Bootcamp. If you like this video, like it and leave a comment and let me know what you learned in this video that you can now take with you and use as a weapon in your arsenal. Hit the subscribe button up here to get these videos before anybody else does. You will be the first ones to get them in your email. And here are a couple episodes from the series so far. If you're just discovering my channel, we have a ton of videos in this series alone. There's a couple left, and then I'm going to jump to an entirely new series. A lot of planning goes into these videos, so please share it out on your social networks too. I always say at the end of these videos, take the challenge, take the files I provided to you, and do something different with them, and then email them to me. I'll critique them or tag me in my social networks, and I'll share them out. I will talk to you and see you for the next episode of the Graphic Design Layout Bootcamp. Have a great night. Peace.